That'd be no fun.
Okay, let's start the meeting here. We're gonna start with attendance.
Adam Hawk.
Paul King.
Craig Fournier,
Marlo Herrick.
Susan Youngs.
okay,
I'm only here.
we're all here.
Listen.
What is the police sign proposal?
But
Is that in the package?
I don't,
I
know
grew up
anything
here, my
about
dad
that.
lives here.
Should be Dana
I don't
was,
think I got
Dana's
that in
supposed
my
to
ear.
submit it.
Eventually I will live
Excuse
here.
me?
Dana was supposed to submit
Get
it.
that property.
Yeah, it's in there, it's in
It's in
there.
here?
Yeah, number 4.
I've gone there.
Oh,
He's get out different stuff.
He signed proposal, it was there, but I don't have the packet or information on it.
Yeah, we don't have the,
I have a few packets on it.
do you?
Yeah, I have,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how many people were gonna be here,
It's good,
so I guess maybe you can kind of split it.
Yeah, we'll
This
split
will
it.
give you the dimensions and stuff.
And then,
we can share.
Pierce, okay, that's right. Got it.
Actually,
28,000
Well,
bucks.
I heard, yeah.
no, 22.
22.
Yeah.
I got an extra one.
He's John.
Just here. You got one, Paul? You were here.
Do you need anything before I leave?
Not that I can think of, Russ is, if you need,
Just kidding.
He's on, he's on.
Runs
I think
anything.
we're okay.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
A
you have the
little.
key to lock up, great.
I do, I'll drop it in the car.
That would be super, thank you.
I'll take a stack of hundreds.
Yeah, right.
Me
You know
too.
what? I
You
had
know
some, I
you
just
wanted to
dropped
know
them
we
on the way
needed
out.
something. Bring them up.
You wanna,
Bandit.
you wanna, just
Yes,
update us on what this is and what?
So- we had a sign in front of the public safety building, and it was made by the state prison right after the building was put in, like 20 years ago. And rotted, fell down, and it was just a wooden sign. So we got an option through the ARPA funds to purchase an electronic sign. Well, if anybody's gone by the Merrimack County Nursing Home, they got a new sign that's right down next to the road that they're advertising, and it's a scrolling advertisement. It's identical to that one. So the sign itself, with the logo that's got the town logo on the top of it, is gonna be a total of 4 by 8 feet. But the active display area is 2'1" high, 7'4" long. And it gives us, we can put up to 5 row of text. So we can be sitting, actually, anybody here at Town Hall can add in there, you know, selectmen's meeting, and it scrolls school closing, whatever you want to put on there. The town can put Old Home Day, you know, and the dates, they can scroll anything they want.
Quick question.
Yes.
I didn't, unless I missed it, did you introduce yourself? I don't know who you are.
I am so sorry. I'm the police chief.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't
I'm
come in
sure I've
uniform 'cause
seen you in your car.
Thank God I was only in the car.
Right. Okay, thank you.
You can, Steve, you can call me Steve, how's that?
That's perfect.
So the electronic sign would be good for the whole town, as far as I'm concerned, because Town Hall can display anything they want on it. It's got a 20-year warranty on it. Right now, they're offering a 15% discount if we book it through before the end of the month. It's LED pixels, so that as the sun goes down, the pixels dim down automatically, so that it's not, it won't be a bright sign by any means. It's gonna be faded right out at night, so that it won't be blinding anybody. And it's gonna be right where the old sign was, right in front of the highway, in front of the safety building.
The old sign, it was on the building, wasn't it?
No, the old sign, there was one right in front of the building. So where the driveway pulls in, about 30 or 40 feet this side of the driveway, there used to be a sign there. And that sign was 4 by 8.
Okay.
Yeah, the poster's still sitting there, right?
Yep, the post
Yep.
is still there.
So are there any questions do we have?
And this is gonna be free.
ARPA money pays for it, so nothing out of taxation. And it'll be 19,000 bucks by the time we get if we get a 15% discount.
And this, who is this company?
This is Stewart Signs. So we got 3 quotes. His quote was $22,800. The next quote was 38,000, and the other one was over 40,000. Oh yeah, we were shocked, absolutely shocked at the expense.
Do we really need a scrolling sign?
I've talked to the select board, I've talked to quite a few people in town, said that it'd be nice if they can, I mean, somebody can put events on it if you want. You know, somebody's having an event,
So your
Contact-
take is that pretty much everybody wants it?
well, it's up to the town, I mean, it's up to you people, if we can get the sign. I just thought the municipality was exempt from signs, you could put a sign up anything you want for a municipality.
Yeah, the only sign restriction is 4x8, it has to be less than 4x8. In our, right, in the zone. So it meets that criteria, certainly. And if there are no, are there any other questions?
Who's gonna install it?
Stewart Sign will install it, that's installed, set up, and everything.
What's the power source?
Electric, comes right off the pole, it's right there, there's a pole 3 feet from it. Average cost per day, they said, was less than $2 a day to run it.
Oh, well. $670 a year.
Yeah.
So it's $800 or so a year?
And they would be more than happy if somebody, if they want, if the planning board wanted, they'll come up and demonstrate it and bring everything in and show you.
Any comments?
As long as at night it's not,
It's not, it dims automatically. We can set the dimness to what we want and how bright it is during the day.
there isn't anybody directly across, is there, that would have it?
It won't show directly across because it's gonna be,
Yeah,
it's gonna be facing the building, so you'll see it coming both ways.
yep, yep.
Right out beside the road?
It's about 4.5 feet off the road.
Okay.
On the,
Because I believe you have something out there now when you advertise for your chicken barbecues and stuff like that.
we
So it'll be
have
about in the same
a
area?
sign that we bring down and change
Yeah.
the numbers and letters on it.
Yeah, so it'll be about in the same area?
Yeah, well, no. This will be if we're heading from here back towards the public safety building, it's before the driveway. The post is still there, you can see the post sticking up a little bit where the old one was where it broke off. That's been down for almost a year.
Is there any comment from the public?
If you allow this sign to go in, I would assume you have to let any other businesses in town put the same size signs up and the same type sign up.
We have a sign ordinance in town, and it specifies that a sign has to be less than 4x8. Also, there are some regulations as to, does it bother the neighbors, is it flashing, that sort of thing. So it's not a open and shut that you know, like, you don't grant that, just, they would have to come before the planning board.
Yes, but they could have these signs throughout the town, is what I'm trying to say.
At approval of the planning board.
Right.
I personally would like to see smaller, more tasteful signs. I'm not keen on having a whole bunch of flashing signs in town.
I think that's one of, just something too that I look at as, I'm not a fan of.
Big electronic signs.
Yeah, just,
I,
it
no need
kind of
for
takes the
it.
quaintness, I think, a little bit, but, you know, and I understand where you're coming from, you know, there's, you know, maybe some people would appreciate knowing different things that's happening in town. I just, it's not, I don't know, I'm not a total fan.
That's one of the reasons why we made the electronic section, so it's 2 foot 1 inch tall
Yeah.
and 7 foot 4 wide, so it's really not that big.
Tara, do you have a comment?
Oh, yes, my question is for the chief. Is it one-sided or two-sided?
2-sided.
Okay.
Yeah, I sort of agree about the electronic, except, to be honest, the little signs that get stuck out with the letters that go, the letters fall off, and those tend to look tacky. So, there are pluses and minuses.
You have any comments?
Is there a different ordinance for municipalities versus residential versus small business, commercial?
Well, I think the quick answer in Webster, no. Webster has one zone, and there's one sign regulation for the whole town. And it's fairly, it's not very constricting. Let's put it that way.
I like the idea of the sign to let people know, if they don't know, why is the school closed today? Why is the town office closed today? You know, why are flags at half staff, or when is Old Home Day? 'Cause I know it's coming up. That part of the sign usage, I do think is a benefit. I do wonder about the concern to have multiple signs like that around town as well, opening a can of worms.
We wouldn't have to
So-
approve it.
Exactly.
We could say the sign there is for the benefit of the whole town, whereas a business sign is for the benefit of the
Benefit of an
business.
individual.
Yeah.
An individual address versus all addresses.
Yeah, in terms of, the town can regulate in terms of safety and inconvenience the neighbors.
Correct.
Chief Adams, what, if let's say it doesn't go through, that 20,000 in ARPA money, what happens to that? I mean, is that something where you'd be able to use it for something else, or is it, I know I should probably kind of know this a little bit better, but it confuses me a little bit, even when you came in with the sign at the selectmen's meeting. I just thought, oh, you have to spend it on a sign.
Don't
But
have to.
No, okay.
ARPA money can be used for anything within the town.
Right.
No
But
matter what it
so what you're just, as being a department head, you're saying, hey, this is something we've talked about, this is something that we think is a good thing, and it wouldn't hurt the taxpayers' money.
Wouldn't hurt the taxpayer, and I'm looking at a 20-year longevity for it. If the sign doesn't go through, I'm gonna request that we see if the state prison will make us another sign, and we'll just have to put lights out there, because there's no lights on that sign.
Right, something pointing at it,
And see what
yeah.
kind of,
So I have
what kind of
lights
setup
either
they
way.
can do. But it's a solid metallic sign.
And they guarantee this for how long?
20 years.
20
And the
That's a long
pixels are,
time.
they're square replaceable, and they said that they've been manufacturing these same pixels, they just pop it out, put another one back in, should something go wrong
Do
with
they
it.
give you, they must give you a bunch of extra ones?
They come do it for nothing, they handle everything.
Well, they're in Florida, man. Come up here to put a few pixels in.
They must have,
Well,
people
They're,
in the area.
right out of Concord,
Oh, they are?
yeah, I mean, the company that does the Stewart sign's right out of Concord.
Oh, okay. I was looking down the bottom.
Who manufactures it?
Do you have any idea what they would charge at the prison if we didn't do this sign, to do
I
another
have
sign?
no idea. I know the prison doesn't do any kind of electronic sign. We'd have
Right,
to-
right,
We'd
yeah.
have to try and design something and see if they can make it for us.
The school has a lit sign.
That's true.
with
Well, it's lit, yes, but there's
And
no
then-
scrolling of,
No scrolling, but it's
Yeah.
still got lights on it.
Are there any other towns around here similar signs?
Well, Merrimack County, the nursing home just put one up. That's the easiest I can say. If somebody goes by there, you can't miss it. It's right on the side of the road between the jail and the county home,
And the high
right in the
school.
front.
I believe the high school does
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, the high school does too.
And the problem with the high school one is that they don't dim it at night.
They don't. That one
Because I have
is
friends
really
who live
bright.
right near it, and they hate it.
That's an older sign too. I think that's why.
Yeah.
So that's a benefit of the
interesting.
sign.
Do we
Yeah.
have the option of not making it scroll?
Yeah, you can make it
Sure.
steady so it doesn't scroll. We can make it do anything we want. We can put pictures on it. But it'll do up to 5 lines.
I like that idea of not having it scroll instead.
It doesn't have to. It can be one set thing. I mean,
Yeah.
but if you have, like, you want to put the planning board's meeting, the select board meeting and everything,
Yeah, but
if they
people
can fit
driving-
it all on,
Yeah.
Driving at
They're not gonna be able to
45
read
an hour,
it.
you ain't gonna read
You're
it.
not gonna read it when you go by. Well, that's why
Well,
the
it's
speed limit's
also a
40.
distraction for the drivers. They're trying to read that, take their eyes off the
Right,
road.
so I would favor it personally, and I don't know how other people feel with static display.
I mean, just not at scrolling.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wait a minute, way to go!
But like you were saying, you could put 5 different things on
Yeah.
there, but, you know, that would be crazy too.
Yes. But scrolling, like you're thinking, is when you're driving by, you'd have to stop to see it all scrolling.
Right.
You're better off
Yeah.
if you do have a couple things listed, then it's
A
scrolling.
couple of lines.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, any other thoughts, plus, minus?
No, I mean, I guess that's, something for free is good.
Well, it's kind of for free,
But
it's
then
just,
again,
it's not really free. Because
right,
that
it's
money
not-
could be
it's
used for
gonna cost
something
us
else.
So,
Yeah,
$800 bucks a year.
It's not gonna raise your taxes.
right.
Well,
But like the
six-
school sign, they gotta go out and put the letters on that, but it's lit, the whole thing is lit, is that correct? That sign down there, the whole big.
It's also facing roads.
Yes.
So
Right.
you'd have to
Yeah.
look over
Yeah,
and see it.
It's harder to see.
well, you need a sign, that's, I mean, so, and it will
Wait,
say the safety building on it,
So it'll have a,
police and
on
fire.
top of it, it will say that, public
Police.
safety complex for the
Yeah.
town of Webster. My biggest reason is town hall can put whatever they want on
Yeah.
the sign, and, I mean, they can do it
I
right
get
from here.
that. Yeah,
All right, somebody wanna make a motion here? I think we've heard enough. Nobody wants to stick out their neck.
I'll do it, I'll do it. I'll make a motion that we approve the new sign as proposed by the police department.
With restrictions.
yeah, no scrolling.
All right,
Or slow.
Although we may change, you know, we may decide later that
Yes.
some scrolling would be fine, so I'd rather not.
So that has the option to do that later if we decide, yes.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna have the restriction.
okay, I'll second the motion. Thank you. Any more discussion?
Let's read the motion one more time, just to make sure.
We don't have Russ to read the motion. I move that
We
we
do.
approve the sign that as proposed by the police department. How's that?
With restrictions.
Oh, and what would that be?
She doesn't,
I wasn't gonna add restrictions
No,
because
you
it sounds
wouldn't.
like we,
It may change, that.
yeah, if we say with
Well,
restrictions.
For right now, I think we ought to add the restrictions of no scrolling. And in the future, if it needs to be changed, we can change it.
Yeah, but then it would have to come before the board. I'm just, I mean, he knows how we feel about it. And
We can set it for.
I'm happy just letting him,
If it goes, yeah, I mean,
And
if
if,
it's gonna be dimmed and all.
yeah, and if we decide we hate the, like,
Absolutely.
we,
All you do is approach the select board. The select board will have the decision on what to do with it, really. They make the decision on everything. We'll put it right onto you.
yeah.
all right. Let's think about Susan's motion. Do everybody understand what the motion is? All in favor, raise your hand. 4-1.
I'm just stuck on that.
Yeah,
So,
I understand.
yeah.
All right, looks like you're approved to spend $22,000.
Well, get 15% discount.
Where does that 15% go?
Right back into the budget. Well, right back into the opera
Opera
funds.
funds,
I'm
yeah.
just joking.
Forward one.
Okay, next item
Thank you so
on
much.
the
Thank you.
agenda. Thank you, Chief. Driveway enforcement follow-up. This is in regards to John Pearson. Can I ask you a few questions?
Sure.
You've suppose you have 3 driveway cuts. The third one is that one, the upper one that goes to that old house site there.
Well, I have 2 driveway permit, 2 driveways.
2
They
driveways.
claim I got 3.
Well, let's talk about the other one, the one that goes up to that old house site,
Yeah, the house that burnt,
the house that burned. And there's no culvert under that. There's no
No.
culvert under any of those, right?
no culvert up there.
Yeah. And what do you use that road for? There's a reason I'm asking these questions, and I'll get to that in a minute, but what do you use that?
Just go out to the back field.
Yeah. And the reason I'm asking is because I don't know if you, how familiar everybody is with the new driveway, Webster driveway.
I mean, originally that was 2 separate lots up there.
So let me read what this section of the Webster driveway permits. This is Roman numeral 4, permit requirements. Permits for use of pre-existing access way. Occasionally and/or seasonal access via undeveloped pre-existing way, woods, road, stone wall, gap, etc., for purposes of tending agricultural field or forest land, or conducting wood harvesting not requiring the filling of intent to cut. In other words, not a commercial cut. If you're just going up for your own firewood. Requires a driveway permit only if it impacts existing water drainage features, e.g. requires installation of a culvert. So you don't have a culvert, which, all right, damages pavement or poses a detriment to the public way or hazard to the public way. So yours doesn't, my reading of this, yours doesn't present a hazard to the right of way or to the existing road. If any such impact or change does occur, the property owner shall in effect appropriate remedy, or upon failure to do so shall pay any costs the town incurred in effecting such a remedy. So, my reading of this is that road cut up there counts under this Roman numeral 4 requirements. In other words, you use it to get firewood, it doesn't have a culvert, it's occasional use. So, my reading is it doesn't require a permit, that cut. Now, the cut below the house, where you starting to do some excavation work, that will, in my view, require a driveway permit.
For what reason? That's been open forever. There was a bar gap there since 1910. Any bar gap is
but
a
you're
natural
gonna-
access.
But, I mean, you're telling me that, yeah, so,
Is a natural access to anybody's property. Any bar gap to a wall.
yeah, but if you're gonna use that as a driveway.
It's not a driveway.
I'm saying if you develop that property, you will need a driveway permit.
Yes, but
Okay, so we're- So we're agreement.
yes. But if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his butt.
What the hell are you talking about?
You just said if I was gonna do something. If a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his butt. I'm not here today for an if. You guys claimed that was a driveway. It wasn't if it's a driveway, you said it was a driveway.
I'm just gonna show them where the keepsake house was.
He's been here.
I understand that, but the others haven't.
I got a letter from the state said I am in non-compliance to a driveway. And if I do not correct this, they're gonna take me to court, or they can take me to court.
Wait, okay.
Well,
The Bridge House, he's got deeds for 2 different pieces of property.
right,
So you go in, here's the bar gap.
right,
We've always had our vegetable garden here,
right.
which we will again. But when they did some digging, they shored up the hill with some stones. So we're gonna have a vegetable garden here again. Here's the bridge that burned. This was the keepsake house. It was an antique cape that some people who were renting it burned it down to the ground. So this is lot 1, this is lot 2. So this is why this was the driveway for the keepsake house. And now it's just where he exercises his horses. And keeps the horse trailer back there and,
Right,
So-
and this driveway cut falls under this.
In other words, doesn't need a permit, but
Doesn't
if
need
it got developed and a house was built back there, then
Yeah.
there would be a
But I was-
permit. Isn't that what you were saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
This
So-
area here, I saw some,
it was a kid's monkey bars were there.
yeah, but there was some dirt moved in there.
Right,
And
because.
and I was
he
told
dug
you're
out-
gonna, at some point, you were thinking about building a house in there.
Oh, no. If we redo the bridge house, it's gonna be on the same footprint. Right now, there's just, the trailer is right there next to it, because you can't live in the bridge house. I think you went in it.
Yeah.
So, anything that ever got built would be built on this platform right there, on the same footprint.
Okay.
So, and like I said, the keepsake house was here that burned, and John had bought both pieces of property, so he's got 7 acres there. I think one is 3 and one is 4 acres.
Okay. So,
There's no
what-
plans to build anything. This is just, like I said, they had to remove some trees, a big tree that was there, and a great big pine tree that was there. They were huge and they were dangerous. So they dug those out. And so that's why, everything was dug up and everything else, so. And then, we've got an outdoor furnace, which is right here.
Yep.
And they had to do a lot of digging because the furnace, the water pipes go to the house here and out to the barn, because we have water to the barn for the horses.
And the issue, I thought the issue originally wasn't that 2 driveways were perfectly fine because of the length of the land. It was the 3rd driveway that caused the issue.
Right, the bar gap.
that was my understanding.
Yeah, so
also.
everything should be fine.
Well, the
Yeah, this has
question,
been here forever.
yeah, and the question is this a bar gap or is this a driveway?
I thought that was the one of the 2 driveways that were allowed.
No, that's a bar gap. Because the driveway is here for the bridge house,
Mhm.
and this driveway is here, which was for the keepsake house, which burned. So all 3 of these have been here forever. This looks bigger because we had to take the stone wall down here, which is gonna be replaced because of the fire. So,
Do you have any comments, Paul?
but this is and always has been a bar gap. You just can't see, the stones aren't here, but the stones are gonna be replaced, right there, the stone wall. This stone wall was improved, and then down here because it goes down a hill, Josh shored up the hill.
Yeah, I
with-
saw
with
all the
stones-
rocks,
with
yeah,
stones,
when I
right.
drive by.
Right.
So the issue is, as long as where the bar gap is, as long as that does not get turned into a regularly used driveway,
Right.
it's not an issue.
Right.
Current
Yeah.
use is not.
Is that what you're reading too also?
What I'm reading, what I'm hearing, is that current use doesn't require a driveway. But if they chose to develop it, it would, but currently it does not. That's what I'm
Yeah.
hearing.
Right.
That's what I've heard.
Is that,
There's the
I
bridge house,
I
and
can't
there's where
say
the other
much,
house
but I
burned.
would agree
This was here,
that
the bar gap
if
is
it's a
here.
bar gap, I mean, he's not driving in and out of it every single day, so it's like it's not a driveway.
It's not a
And then if he
driveway.
decided that he wanted to make a driveway, well, then he knows he's gotta get a permit. Is that correct?
Why would somebody have a driveway on both sides of the house?
No one's gonna be driving over my vegetable garden.
That's correct.
Well, many people
My
have. It
point is,
250.
this started out as a non-municipal complaint
according to Paul,
on White Plains Road.
Yeah, we know all about that.
frontage?
Then it got turned into 13 Bridge House Road. Number 2. I got a letter from the selectmen This has already been turned in as a complaint, changed into, I'm in non-compliance to a driveway. If this is not corrected,
Well,
they
we're
can
try-
take me to court.
We've already said we've corrected it.
We're
I'm not
trying
sure
to-
why you're arguing with us, because we agree with you. You're
Okay,
fine the way things are, and that's what the minutes will show.
Yeah, we're trying to resolve this here, not here and now, okay? We're not,
You ain't going,
what's that?
you ain't going,
You wanna elaborate?
no?
What do you, where are you at here?
No matter what you do, what you say, they're gonna turn it around and make it, they're gonna keep on arguing until hell freezes over.
Well, see, we hadn't seen any minutes from November and December, so we don't know what the decisions were. There are no planning board minutes.
I don't,
Online.
something's been fishy here from the start. Russell on the last selectmen meeting, planning board admitted that he made mistakes. The minutes were never posted. I would like to know why.
We don't do that. That's not our job. It's the office's job.
I understand that,
So,
but why not?
We thought he was gonna be here tonight, so.
But why weren't they
he's home.
posted?
Well,
I
he
don't know.
already-
We don't know.
Wait,
I
he already-
understand that.
He already apologized. He
I
admitted he
understand
made a
that.
mistake and
But
apologized. Can
the
you let it go?
townspeople have a right to know what's been going on.
What do you wanna know?
The townspeople have the right to know.
What do you wanna know?
In the
I
minutes.
want to know the underhanded stuff. You folks have a policy for anonymous complaints, do you not?
the town does, we don't.
Right? It's online right now.
The town attorney
town.
told
Right.
us that we have to take
No,
anonymous
wait a minute.
complaints. That isn't our decision, that's the
You have a
town.
form to fill out for anonymous complaints, do you not?
I have no idea.
Look it up.
Yeah. we
Am I-
do-
am
we
I
do.
correct?
And, what happens is, somebody will call in, they
Yeah,
can call
yeah.
in anonymously. That's part of the, we've talked to the town lawyer. and-
If
and
you look
that's-
online,
that's-
there is a form you have to fill out
Can
for
can I,
anonymous
hey, John,
complaints.
can I finish? Can you?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mhm.
It is a form.
Yep.
When it's taken over the phone,
Yep,
he fills out the form.
yep.
And he could make a mistake filling out the form,
Yeah,
you know. I think that's probably what happened.
yep.
And I think he admitted to that, and, we're sorry that it wasn't up to your snuff, but that's the way it came down.
Well,
And we're not,
This is my point.
I think that,
Excuse me, I need to finish this statement. This is my point. That form to fill out on that complaint has to be in writing on that form, and it needs to be signed. It was not done.
I'm not sure, if it's anonymous, there is no
But
signature.
there's a form that has to be filled out
A form
From the
doesn't have
town.
to be signed.
from the town. It was not done. Russell made a statement in this last meeting that he made mistakes. It's on tape. The minutes are not posted. The selectmen continue to edit minutes. When I make statements, I have no problem putting in the minutes what I say. But when he makes mistakes, and it's on tape, they don't make the minutes,
If there's any more.
and
we're
they're
not-
edited.
I hear what you're saying. That's not the issue that we're before us
I am-
today. We're gonna table that right now. I'm not gonna go into that.
But it's a part of my program here tonight.
Well, great. Is there any other comments by the planning board members?
nope.
If not, we're gonna.
what I'd like to say, we have spoken with the select board about the anonymous minutes, anonymous complaint. And I personally believe, legally, it should be a written complaint because we're all human. Russell made the mistake, he put the wrong road name, and the story gets changed. All it said on it was driveway without permit. But I think you need to have, and I'll talk to the selectmen about it again, I think you need to have a written complaint, but the name, the person can sign it, you can have that in your files, but you can keep it as an anonymous complaint, but you have an original complaint to go back to, so that there's no
I mean,
game of
once,
telephone
once
that
an
it
appli-
changes.
excuse me for.
No, that's all right,
interrupting.
I'm done.
Once a complaint comes in, then it has to be looked into, right? Somebody from the town has to go out and, is this a crank complaint? Is it a valid complaint? That's why Paul came out, that's why I came out. I wanted to see
Right.
exactly what's out there. I wanted to hear your side of the story. I'm not trying to shut you off or anything
No.
else like that, okay?
But that's what I told you when you came out to talk to me. I'm not worried about this driveway, because it ain't a driveway. My main issue is the underhanded stuff that is happening, and I don't want it happening to the rest of the town's taxpayers.
I hear what you're saying.
That's my point.
I hear what you're saying.
It'll be in the minutes.
I want it
We're
done,
gonna-
done correctly.
We're gonna move on here. We've heard your point, you've made your point several times tonight. We're gonna move on here.
Can I just say one more thing?
Yeah.
I think if they take any more complaints, and I'm not trying to side with anybody, don't get me wrong, but I think to try to cut any type of stuff like this to happen again, if somebody complains, they need to take that pen, put their name on the paper. And that's how I think that should be handled. It's no different than,
Well,
a perfect example is when the DES came out to my place about my wood boiler. Now, I know we're getting off the subject, but it's like the first time around, they wanted to come out and look at this, but I told them, I says, well, who complained? And they didn't want to tell me. And it's like, don't waste your gas getting here. And then the second time, they came out, but they told me who it was. And so I think if we take any more of these anonymous complaints, somebody should fess up to who actually it is, or we don't waste the time of checking something out if somebody doesn't want to sign their name on the paper.
I hear you're saying the same thing as what John's saying here. It's an issue for the selectmen.
Yeah,
It's
but
not-
And it would be something where if the policy states now that you can, we would move to make it, if we're doing what you're saying, you would say that we don't take anonymous complaints? Is that, you have to put your name into it?
That's
I
what,
mean,
that
is
would be part, that would be
that what
what
you're
I'm
saying?
saying. I'm saying if you're gonna complain, you better put your name on it.
Well,
Or don't, it's a waste of,
it makes a lot of sense.
yes.
The town lawyer says you can have,
Because there is sometimes fear of retribution.
right.
But like what I said, to have it in writing, have the name, at least you have that in your file, nobody else can look at it. But you don't have to tell me the name, I just want to see what the complaint actually said, rather than just say, third driveway. That tells me nothing.
Right.
Or you might even be saying, no calling it in,
Yes.
coming in and writing
And
it
Right.
in.
And
Come
we
in and
did-
write down the
We did say
complaint.
that.
And
Even if,
Should be
and maybe,
signed.
yeah, it should be, but you know what I mean, if you
Yeah, I
can't.
get
But
it
what
that-
you're saying
I get
is,
it
that
that-
way there's no confusion.
Right.
And and Russ would say it, and then he would say to who he needs to say, hey, I got a written complaint. Doesn't have to have the name, a written complaint, so somebody please go check. Somebody goes and checks,
Yeah,
and it's not, or is, it is,
Yeah.
end of story.
But
Yeah.
they still could sign it without having, they could keep the name
It can be redacted, is what you're
Right.
trying to
Yeah.
say.
to take it, so nobody, he doesn't know, but if it's in writing and signed, and the three selectmen see the signature,
I never asked for who did my complaint.
I don't know, yeah.
I didn't ask who. I just had so many people make mistakes from
All right.
White Plains Road to a second driveway, to a third driveway,
we've covered this whole thing. We're not gonna take any more time with this.
Yep.
This is an issue for the selectmen. It's not a planning board issue. I'd like to have an in-depth discussion of this junkyard stuff.
Yeah.
Tonight. I think that's really important. There is a bunch of stuff in the package.
Well, the links are here.
Yeah, the link, well, not only the link, he wrote,
Yeah, his answer to your question.
His answer
yeah.
to my question was quite detailed, and it was very, very good.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
I did pull up both the links that are in there as well,
Yeah.
and I've got one of them here. It is a little bit scary, to be honest, that we are so out of compliance as a town. I mean, we don't have, we have no code enforcement officer, do we?
We have a part-time, the fellow who does Warner also does ours. He does it on call. But he does mostly building inspections.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm reading this, and we are obligated by law to
Yes.
license junkyards.
Yeah. Let me just read this section here, because I think it's relevant. There are two parts to a local junkyard. Okay, while there are many ways to define a junkyard, in this case, we refer to RSA 236-112 in here. Since 1965, this law has required municipalities to license junkyards, including motor vehicle junkyards, salvage yards, machinery junkyards, and other similar collections of material. There are two parts to a local junkyard license. So they want you to license things, and they want the license to be valid for a year. Initial approval of the location and ongoing approval of the operation. If the yard exists before 1965, it is generally grandfathered as to its location, RS 236-125. However, regardless of when a yard was established, it must continue to comply with all other operational requirements under this statute, including, among other things, the best management practices. And then there's a whole section on best management practices for junkyards, which I think is referred to in that one of those links. Owners must obtain a license from the governing body and must renew it annually, certifying that they are in compliance with the latest BMPs and all operational conditions. In other words, a junkyard owner may have a vested right to continue the yard where it is, but not a vested right to any particular manner of operation of the yard. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we really do have to have a junkyard ordinance. It requires us to have one. And which, the main purpose is to set safety, environmental, is it polluting, that sort of stuff.
I'm gonna balk on this one. At first, I was kind of for it, but you know what, I'm not gonna. And I'm gonna tell you the reason why. And I'll use myself as a perfect example. I've got all kinds of what you're gonna call the, looking at the junkyard, your regulation with, as far as the equipment, where'd you see that? I didn't just read it off.
Yeah, I know.
And I fall right under that 110%.
There's
Okay? And a lot of that stuff I use, a lot of it I don't use, but sometimes you never know when you're gonna need it. Okay? 10 skidder tires. You might have 8 of them that still held there when you took them off. And so you keep them. Maybe you'll need them, maybe you won't. Maybe you got a friend that might need one, maybe you don't. So if somebody was walking down on the power line down behind my place, they may consider me a junkyard, okay? With the stuff that I have. Some of that stuff, there's a trailer down there that when I was a kid, it used to go behind the 1946 farm wall. Still got the 46 farm wall and I still got that trailer. Trees are growing up through it, all right? So in your eyes, that might be junk. One man's junk is another man's treasure.
Well, you're not.
And so, this is kinda, you're gonna be a little bit touchy as far as how this all shakes, what's in, and I have 4 sets of tracks that came off of different machines. A cab, loaders, booms,
But
log loaders.
is it,
Is it a business?
It's not, some of this stuff
Doesn't
is, some of it
matter.
isn't. Some I got trinkets that are old corn choppers and stuff that are something that may never even use again, but
Well,
there's something there that could be.
is it an area exposed to public view?
no.
Depends where you walk,
Well, is it from the
Not
road?
from the road.
not from the road.
Right, that's what they're
But-
talking about.
Yeah, but I add
Okay,
a few
so,
things.
so let me just say,
Yeah.
what if I had this stuff up near the road and I didn't have any, let's say that I didn't have the hill that you could see this stuff, right?
Well-
Been here longer than you guys have been in town, all right? So we're going back to a
Well,
long time.
let me add a few things here.
Yep,
This junkyard stuff is mainly for people buying and dealing in
junk.
junk. It's not,
Okay.
I mean, you could go around town, you could find 25 people that have unused vehicles in there, probably even more, unused vehicle in their yard, right? They're not dealing in junk, okay? This is, in my interpretation, this is commercial stuff. And what we want to do is control junkyards, commercial junkyards,
So like Coparts.
yeah.
That's what we're gonna be, Coparts is what this would be following under, not like people that are
Yeah,
spread out through town. So like when you're driving down 127, if you saw a whole pile of junk there, nothing's gonna happen to this guy. Is this correct?
Well, here's the issue, if the neighbors complain,
Okay, all right, here we
Then-
go. The
then
neighbors
according to
complained.
it's like,
Okay,
we'll find ourselves, the town will end up having to foot the bill. In fact, the town could end up in court having to defend itself
right,
for not enforcing the junkyard.
but
ordinance.
it's taken, you're, here I am a taxpayer, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody doesn't, they're walking on the power line with their
That's-
dog and all of a sudden they don't like what they see from
Once again, that's
there.
different.
That's different. That's, when they say
That's their
visible,
choice.
visible junkyard, they're meant talking.
But how about the guy that lives right on 127 that you can see his stuff? What's gonna happen to him if the neighbor across the street complains? What's gonna happen? And here's another,
If-
that's a perfect example. What if he's me? What if I'm him? What if I am that guy that lives across the street from you and you don't like my 10 skidder tires and loaders and cabs and booms?
Well,
and-
you're not dealing in six
No,
hundred
I'm
tires.
not dealing in it, but I'm just saying, what if you got somebody that is not dealing in it, but you don't, the neighbor doesn't like
Well,
it? What's gonna
this
happen?
this regulation is aimed at businesses,
Hmm?
businesses.
Just
And
a
and if you
strict
re- if-
junk business
If you
owner.
read this, there is definitions of what a junkyard is.
Well, when I
It's defined.
look at the papers that Russ sent, and you see this,
Yep.
right? I got that down back.
Well,
All right, no, but I'm proving my point. I got that down back, it's all in a pile, and when the scrap gets up, I may take it to the junkyard, or I might keep that stuff for another year. Been sitting there 2 or 3 years now.
I think the issue is that the town has to have on its books some sort of junkyard ordinance.
Something
Something.
in writing to back up if we need to do something.
legally required. It's not that we're choosing to do it, it's that we are in violation as we speak. However, and if we don't, and the neighbors complain, and we don't do anything, they'll take it to the state, and then the state will complain, take them to court, and make us pay.
Why are they gonna make us pay?
Because
The state-
we
have
didn't,
an ordinance.
didn't have an ordinance and didn't enforce it. I mean, I don't think anybody, any of us is planning to drive around town and look at places that we're gonna say, you need a license, you need a license. It's just,
But if your neighbor doesn't like it, what if my neighbors on Walker Pond don't like what I'm doing? What's
Well, you-
gonna happen?
You can deal with them.
I do deal with them.
yeah.
How did this whole junkyard ordinance even become a problem for you guys and discuss it tonight?
Because, well, it's been actually the last couple of months, because what happened to another town, Gilmanton, some town, I can't remember now, because Russ told us. The town got a complaint from someone. They tried to control the junkyard. They had to, it was taken to court. And because the town did, even though it was a state law, because the town didn't have its own junkyard ordinance, the town was liable for all court costs.
So there's actually no complaints in the town of Webster of
Not
any
at this moment,
supposed
no.
junkyard?
No, we
Or
just
too many
wanted,
vehicles somewhere, or
we
junk
just
somewhere?
wanted, yeah, we just wanted to take what is in the state law and just put it as the town of Webster.
There's definitions of what a junkyard is and what's allowed and what best management
Who was-
practices.
Who was the lady that was complaining at the last meeting? That lady that was
What?
sitting in
About what?
the junkyards.
Oh, I was sitting next to her over there, I was in your seat, girl.
That was,
Yeah.
wasn't that about Gamel?
It was about Gemmels, I think.
I thought she had an issue all, more than just that.
Well, I got a personal issue with Eddie Mark. I think he's an SOB. I'm gonna call in with a nominous complaint and file a complaint on his junkyard.
We don't have,
Deal with it.
we don't have an ordinance.
I'm just saying,
I'm
when
gonna,
you,
I'm
I'm
gonna
just
take your
saying,
complaint and I'm gonna put it in the file.
I'm just saying, when you pass this law.
Well,
This
unless he's dealing in junk and dealing in skidder tires and tire tracks, I don't give a shit.
So,
Can I ask a question? Because I think this is what I'm hearing. If, let's just say, like you said, that happens, and because we don't have an ordinance, we say, too bad, John.
no, I'm just
Well,
saying.
no, let me
Let her finish.
let me finish.
Yeah.
So then you call the state. And the state says,
Yeah.
he's got no permit to be operating as a junkyard, blah, blah, and that state decides to take him to court. Then we, because we don't have any ordinance, we flip the bill.
But I'm reversing it the opposite way. When you do pass this type bill with this anonymous complaint, and what you do with Eddie Mark then?
Well, I just
I'm
told
just
you
trying
what
to
I-
understand it too.
Yeah,
I'm not-
what I
We'd
told
have
you.
to
and I
have
told
to
you
complain.
complaint.
We'd have to go look at it.
You look at it and you
You know,
decide that
and-
he is not selling, he does not have a business, he is not in violation,
Yeah,
like you would any other honest complaint.
I'm trying
We'd
to
have to
say
look-
you need to deal with your anonymous complaints in a
Yes.
different way, is what I'm trying to tell you.
No, we've got your point. We had that 15 minutes ago.
They're gonna be signed from now on.
Tell the selectmen.
But, because I feel the same way. I mean, we have all had neighbors. I mean, some of us are fortunate not to have them that, and we all have junk and we all have, like, we go through the same thing. We get, things that are torn apart, pickup beds and stuff like that. But I think what you're trying to say is there is already a law on the books, okay? A state law on the books that if that neighbor, if we don't do anything, wants to take it to the state, which maybe we would say, yeah, we don't feel like he's in compliance. So then they
And
do.
violation.
In violation, sorry. Then they take it to the state, and the state, then they can't charge us for the bill.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's why we want to.
So more or less, there's laws and there's rules already in place, but that would be that person would have to take it to that level.
Right.
It's so.
But I'm with you. I
But
get what you're
I
saying.
guess I'm just saying is if they walked in my woods, it's like, well, we don't like it.
No,
That's just not,
You're pushing.
we
it
have
to the
a
limit.
comment, we have a comment?
Yeah.
Isn't there already an ordinance for junkyard in Webster where there was already a junkyard in Webster?
We have
No
it's not
ordinance.
a permitted use in Webster.
Never been.
It was at one point.
well, it's in the-
Before zoning, before planning.
Was it
nobody-
not?
Coparts, right?
No,
Or
before
didn't?
Richardson's,
Jimmy
They-
Roberts had to have a junkyard.
Yeah,
there.
he did too, exactly right. Jimmy
Richardson's
Roberts
had
did.
to.
Yeah, so they did have one way back,
way back.
Yeah.
way back.
John Little had one, used to have a junkyard license.
Yep, yep,
So there is an ordinance somewhere for the town of Webster already.
No, there isn't.
it changed.
They're going.
They just
by-
threw it away?
Susie, they're going by the state laws is what they went by. Way back. And so that's what they would be going by right now so like, say like if Coparts was there, they would have to go by the state laws that are in effect. They'd have to follow those rules, just like John would have if he was still operating a junkyard. If he was still there selling cars, he would have to be under the state.
Right.
But he's not, so he's, and so the town itself does not have a junkyard ordinance.
Yeah, and of
It would
cour-
be the state that does.
And that's all what we put together was just cut and pasted from what the state regs are, so that it's sort of official. But we were asked to do this because according to what the current regs are in the town, it lists permitted uses, and it says all other uses are, something to the effect that everything that's not mentioned here is then therefore not allowed. So officially, junkyards aren't allowed now, according to whatever the town ordinance are, right? Isn't that what we
Yeah, I
were
think
told?
they would have to get, because we're zoned rural residential, they would have to get an exception from the zoning board for
Yeah.
one thing. And
That's
then,
what,
and-
they'd
and
start with a zoning board.
yeah, and then they would have to come in with a plan. What's your plan for this thing? We would look at it from the point of view of access, safety, lighting, groundwater. you know,
Fencing, if it's,
Fencing, all those issues that surrounding a commercial business.
I just wanted to mention, I think everybody knows here which properties are being talked about, and I don't believe any of it is agricultural. Like Addie's agricultural, Drown's farm and everything else. I think we're talking about a lot of cars, a lot of trailers and things like that. Now, years ago, and you might remember, Marlo, they had a rule about you could only have X number of unregistered vehicles, because I know that came about for Gamil too.
Yeah, well, that's a state law too, right?
and actually
I don't
now
know.
it says
Yeah.
it doesn't matter whether they're registered or not, that's the current law.
But I do remember what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
because Gamil had to register everything that he had on the road, that was sitting next to the road. Registered, and then, I don't know if they had to have them inspected, but that's besides the point. But I know what you're saying. I don't believe any of the people that have all the vehicles in there are in business, but some of them, there's not 1 square inch of their property that's not covered with some vehicle. And so how would that fall into the junkyard? Because they're not in business, they're just
Well,
quarters, basically.
Yeah, according to the landowner does not need to be involved in a commercial operation or even intend to sell the material. If the material is a motor vehicle or auto parts, an accumulation amounting to 2 or more vehicles is enough to require a license. This is directly from New Hampshire Municipal Association local regulation. So,
Which
I
means-
mean,
which
but like I
means-
said, nobody wants to go around town and start counting vehicles and figuring out, okay, it does this, do we have to tell them to get a license? It's just to have an ordinance on the books to protect the town from court costs. That's the whole purpose, that's the whole reason we started this. Not because we wanted to cause people
Yeah,
trouble.
and also, you want some control over the water rights. In other words, are they emptying oil in the
And vermin, you get
Groundwater.
rats and everything else.
So I hear.
So,
Yeah.
so that's the whole purpose. The state wants the town to control the safety and water and all, fencing, how visible it is. That's our responsibility.
There's a couple of people in this town, if they were sitting on this board, from what you just said, I would agree with what you want to do. But if there was a couple other different people on this board, they'd go after everybody in this town.
No, well, I'm not gonna argue with you on that.
If
I
they had
think,
more
I
than two or
do,
three
I see,
cars.
I know what he's saying is, like,
It can be abused, is what you're saying.
Yes,
Yeah.
they would
There you
go
go.
overboard.
That's not us.
Your wording is gonna have to be so
These
careful.
people would be fine with it, but a couple different people in town on this board would go after everybody.
Well, put it this way, they could do that now and take it to the state.
Yeah, you can do
Yeah,
it
I
right
mean,
now.
right now, if they really wanted to go after somebody, they could. And our having an ordinance or not isn't gonna change whether they could go after somebody. It's just, it will protect us to some extent.
I agree.
That's it.
Did you wanna add a comment?
I do believe this protects the town from legal fees.
Mm.
I also believe that the people on the board and the people on the, select and the zoning and such we all live in this town. We all want the best.
I trust this board,
Mhm.
but they don't know what I was saying.
But this is to protect the town
Other
from
boards,
legal.
other people, if they were on this board.
Yeah, legal recourse would happen if it was brought to the state and we didn't have this backup. This is our safety net.
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah.
And I understand what you're saying.
You could
So-
put the words in environmental impact for the leaky oil and antifreeze and
Yes.
vermin
Well-
and everything else, so.
Well, we've,
Yeah.
Susan and I got together and we came up with a draft
That's great.
of a ordinance, and we have it, I think it's in your, is it in your packet?
It's in the packet.
It's in your packet, yeah, the draft.
With big letters that say draft.
Big letters say draft.
And like I said, it was cut and pasted from the state thing. We didn't put everything in. We just, one of the things Craig did was go back and just,
More
as
generalized.
defined by RSA, whatever, so that we didn't have to quote everything. But
Yeah. Yeah, so
but pretty much these regulations are the same that the state, let's just
Virtually
say, let's
word
just
for
say,
word.
if let's say I didn't like my neighbor across the street and I thought they were breaking some of the state rules, I could go to the state and say, you need to do something about this. And then what would happen is the town could pay for that,
well, yeah.
if the state listens.
Or the town can go after a junkyard itself. They have to come every year to get a license. Right? So if they're not complying with the best management practices,
yeah.
So I
BMP,
think
deny.
in some of the word, we can fix that so it's commercial.
No.
We're
Because
not
it's
gonna do that?
That's not what's in the state reg, and if we change it, then we'll get,
Got that little-
Yeah,
That they'd have a
you
little
really
bit
do
of
have to go back, reference this stuff and read through this stuff.
Yeah, I did Russ's papers
packet?
that he sent here. No, I didn't really dig it.
Well, it's hard plowing here through this.
Yeah.
well, in his, response to you, the guy who you wrote to, he was great,
Yeah,
and
that's what I thought.
he basically said, it is a complicated issue. And,
And
case by case analysis, yeah,
they have a phrase, junkyards and junky yards.
yes.
And we're not going after junky yards. I mean, that would be, everybody's got a junky yard. These are, so, anyway, I would like to, has everybody have read this over, familiarized themselves with
I've read,
Yeah.
to be honest.
It's in here.
I don't. There's a lot of stuff in there that if somebody complained, and then it's like, you know, you take the machinery junkyard, I get that I'm not in the junk business, but if you start reading the fine print here, somebody complains about it. Next thing you know, you're gonna have to look into
But
it.
No,
the
no.
point is, they can do
Yeah.
that whether we have the ordinance or not,
Right.
and get you in worse
The
trouble.
point is, if you're a commercial, you have to have a license.
Right,
And that's the arm up behind the back, you know, if you wanna maintain that license.
yeah, I don't,
But,
I'm
I
not
mean,
gonna
if you're not-
apply for one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying, because somebody complains, so what?
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing, it doesn't fall under the category of
Because clearly in the other case that we've been talking about over the last several months, somebody who was, I think, what we would all agree was clearly a dangerous junkyard.
well, the guy,
Was-
we already know
was,
that
but
there's a
he was-
hazard when you go down 103, you
Yeah,
got
well,
a
he
hazard
could
there.
argue, he argued that it was necessary for agriculture, and that that's why he was allowed to continue. So you could do the same thing.
And we'd still have to put the bill if this was not on the books.
Right, I get all of that, but the thing with it is over there, it's, well,
I know.
you got hazards there. and it's
We
just-
agree.
The thing that should happen there with that is why doesn't the welfare of whoever the health officer
yeah.
is, he's the guy that needs to make the first to go. He
Yeah.
needs to go in. You got a problem with fire hazard there, you got animals that aren't being fed good, you got nasty old hay that's getting covered with salt every time they plow the road or whatever, and then you can't get by there with trucks, if there's a UPS truck or something
Yeah,
out
it's-
there,
it-
so that's what, but the guy's not in the junk business, he's a hoarder.
Yeah,
It's a problem.
but he can still be, according to the regs, he's still in violation.
that.
But that's not really our issue here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a,
I get it.
and I think, it's actually in the town of Warner, and they're going to take another look at
Some is Webster too, though, right?
that. There is a little bit.
3 towns, yeah,
Well, my
Didn't you-
understanding, most of it's in Warner.
yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit.
What I think I'd like to do is put off, I'd like to vote on this, but I'd like everybody to read it, make notes, come back with comments, and then we'll discuss it and vote on it next time.
So we're not gonna approve this, though, are we, tonight?
Well, I don't think people are enough familiar with it enough to.
Right, and it's gonna have to go to town meeting
No.
anyway, is that
No.
correct?
No, it doesn't.
So, we're gonna put this in place without people seeing what's going on?
We may have to
I
have.
can't remember what,
I thought we talked about having a public
Public
hearing.
meeting.
Yeah, there's a
regarding
public hearing on it, but no, it doesn't have to go before the town. But why don't we put it off, read it over, take notes?
It
do a
needs
work
to be, it
session?
needs to be made smaller. If it has to go to the town meeting, it's gotta be smaller.
it doesn't go to town meeting.
People aren't gonna sit there and read 8 pages.
It doesn't go to town meeting. Ordinances don't get approved at town meeting, right? Isn't that what we were told?
That was my understanding.
That the town governing boards make the ordinances, and if they pass them, they're in existence. It doesn't go to town meeting. Which makes me happy.
Should just have a public hearing though.
I think
Yeah, I
it
think
And
it-
post it, and post it on
Yeah, I
on
agree.
on
Public
it.
the website too. And maybe in big letters say, hey, review and,
People don't go to the website and they don't read the grapevine, there's the sign over there.
All right.
yeah, that's,
You really think they're gonna read that? They ain't gonna go to the meeting either.
Yeah, they might, I don't know.
A couple things.
Yep.
On February 6th, there is a meeting in Hopkinton regarding the refuse. waste.
Yeah, transfer station.
And it would be nice if some of us went to that.
That was gonna be here, no?
No, it's at the Hopkinton Selectmen are gonna talk, it's set up at town hall.
So I thought it was here too, Paul. Neil Cass? No?
Thought Neil Cass was coming here.
Well, that's what they
No.
talked about to one of the
Oh,
selectmen meetings.
Well, there was a.
The select board is inviting everyone from the planning board and CIP committee to attend their meeting Monday, he said January 6th, February 6th, where they will be discussing the transfer station with town administrator Neil Cass. So it sounds like it is here.
Right.
It's a select board meeting
No,
on the
it's
6th.
Hopkinton.
No, it's here.
It's here.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
what I
Neil's
thought.
coming
And
Oh, all right.
Neil Cass is coming.
All right. The other thing is, every member of the planning board should have a copy of this. If you don't, talk to Russ. The new edition comes out in April, so you should also have a new edition in April.
Yeah, I have an old one.
In April, May timeframe, the municipal association has a one-day workshop for planning board members, what their responsibilities are, and what you have to do, what you can't do, blah, blah, blah. And it would be good to go. I've gone to some, and I think that you get a free lunch out of it. And it comes out of our budget, so I just wanted to call your attention to that. All right. Let's look at the meeting, the minutes from last meeting, I think are in the packet.
Yep, December meeting minutes, they're a little longer because we had to do all the CIP stuff.
Yeah.
Speaking of minutes, is there some reason why we don't get them in the email anymore?
We did. They were attached to the original announcement of this meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were there.
But
But we got several things in a row, and so you don't see it on.
Just scroll down, right?
normally, we used to get these things, I'll say about 10 days after our meeting, so we can look at these and review them, instead of having to have to come to this meeting and review them.
You mean once Russ gets them typed up,
Yeah,
as soon as they're done with them, they should also be posted anyways on, like they were saying, they should be posted on the
He
website, right?
He sent it to us on Wednesday, January 11th. So he sent it to us more than a week before. The attached packet, and in the attached packet is all of the information that's in this packet. So it was sent to us more than a week before our meeting.
maybe fine for some people, but some people are pretty busy, they don't get a chance to read, whatever.
So there's some stuff in here about the CIP.
Yeah.
I got a copy of Hopkinton CIP, and I was very impressed with it. They listed, for example, they listed all the fire equipment and, you know, when they were expected to expire.
And buy new when they,
Yeah, I mean, it was very detailed, and not only that, they didn't go 5 years out, they went like 10 years out.
Did it have transfer station stuff in it?
Yeah, and it pretty much coincided with the material that we got. But my issue with that tire stuff is that we sort of got blindsided.
Yeah, we didn't get that information like years ago when they planned these trailers.
Yeah, like next year is gonna be a big hit on the budget for that, and I'm not too keen on that. Oh, so, now that you've all read over the minutes, do we have a motion here? Or, Do you want?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes from December, what, 15th, is that what it is?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Saying aye. Passed 5-0. Any other business?
We have to talk about this letter we got about,
I thought we had two meetings, we had to do. We got December 15th, and we have one for November.
November 17th.
well, we did already.
We accepted that, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I thought we accepted
Yeah,
When did we do that?
Last meeting.
last meeting.
yeah.
Okay.
And I think they're there because there were some desired corrections.
Yes, there were some corrections in that November meeting. So if there are no other business, I move we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for coming.
Let's see. Yes.
We're good. Down the road.
Onward.
Onward and onward.
It's my busy week. Had meeting Tuesday night, Concord Corral Wednesday night, this meeting
Padded
Thursday
chairs
night,
next
dress rehearsal tomorrow night, concert Saturday, concert Sunday.
Oh, yeah, you just can't wait to get home. Yeah.
So I'm, yeah,
Padded wall.
good glass of wine.
I remember when Bruce Johnson was